Well, it's hard to believe it, but it's already time to start thinking about the holidays. And today I wanted to talk to you about some of the common gifts that we get in the holidays, and that's the Christmas cactus or Thanksgiving or Easter cactus. Now these are distinct cacti. A lot of times they're used interchangeably, and they are true cacti. However, they are not from a hot, dry, cactus type environment. Actually, they're native to Brazil in the rainforest, and they would typically grow in an area very similar to an area that an orchid would grow. They would grow up in the crevices of the trees where leaf matter and a lot of organic matter has decomposed, and they would send their roots down into that. So if you think about that, that gives you a cue on what types of soils and conditions that they need. It's not really a dry type of environment. They actually like to be kept fairly moist, and they also like to have a soil mix that is very high in organic matter content. And this is different than the cacti that like a lot of sand and grit. This actually, a lot of leaf mold in the soil mix would be very good for them. Now again, I was telling you there are 3 distinct cacti. Now they're used interchangeably a lot, and the bloom time can be manipulated so you can get them being called each other. But this is actually the Christmas cactus. You can see here it's got these stem segments and they're flat. You can see there's usually a ridge on them, and the edge is kind of scalloped here. Now if we go over here to the Thanksgiving cactus, you can actually see the difference here in the Thanksgiving cactus, which is also called a crab cactus. You can see it's got kind of a curved hook on the edge. It's not real sharp or anything, but you can see a difference in the two. Here we've got more of a rounded scalloped edge, which is Christmas cactus, and then the curved hook, which is the Thanksgiving cactus. Now these take the same types of environment, and both of these kind of have a weeping habit to them, both the Christmas and Thanksgiving cactus. They make very good candidates for hanging baskets. Now our third cactus here, which isn't the best specimen, but it does show what I wanted to show you, is this is the Easter cactus, and it actually has more of an upright growth habit to it. Now you can see here the edges are again scalloped, much like the Christmas cactus, but another difference that you can see here with Easter cactus is that there are more hairs along the edge. It's just a kind of a fuzzier looking cactus, and I'll bring this one over here and show you the comparison between the Christmas and the Easter, that it really is much hairier than the Christmas cactus. Now while the Christmas cactus and Thanksgiving cactus would bloom on their own towards late winter, Thanksgiving would be a little bit earlier, around Thanksgiving, Christmas usually anywhere from December to February, while the Easter cactus actually will bloom on earlier in the spring. And if they were out in their own habitat, this is when they would bloom. However, the bloom time is actually manipulated both by temperature and by the number of hours of darkness that they get. And if you want to get your Christmas cactus to rebloom for you this year around Christmas, it's a little hard to target it specifically. What you need to do right now is to go ahead and put your cactus in an area where the nights are going to be about 50 degrees. Now this may be in a room that you don't heat, or you could even put it outside, just as long as you don't leave it out and let it get frozen on you. You want to be sure and watch that. But right now the evenings are 50 degrees, so that would be good. The other thing that you need to do is exclude all light for about 12 to 14 hours. Now we've got so many street lights, and also in our home we have our lights on and stuff, that the best way to do this is just to cover it with a box or a bucket, anything that will exclude all the light. This bucket actually had holes on the top that we've put tape over so that we don't get light coming in there. Now put that on, and the same time every night, and then take it off in the morning, and do that for about 5 weeks. You can check and you'll see if you get buds initiating on the edges, you'll see little flower buds, then you can take it off. But it needs to be from 4 to 5 weeks that you go through that process. Then you can bring it back in to your house in temperatures that are about 65 to 70 to 75 degrees, and some bright filtered light. Also keep that soil moist, not totally wet, but moist, and you should get a nice bloom around Christmas time from your holiday cactus. Well, I've got another interesting plant that I want to show you right now, so let's go take a look at that. Well, the interesting plant that I wanted to talk to you is actually a fall blooming bulb, and I've got one right here. I've had it sitting at home. This is a colchicum. Now, colchicum are bulbs that are native to Europe and North Africa, and again, they do actually bloom in the fall. You can see here it's not a pretty bulb, but it does have a very pretty flower on it. And these will actually bloom for you just by setting them on a desk or in a windowsill. You don't want to set them in a place where they're going to get direct sun because they will burn, but anywhere in your house you could set these and let them go ahead and bloom for you. Now you can see here they're not in water, and they're not getting any water or nourishment from any leaves or anything when they're blooming this way, so this can weaken the bulb a bit, but you could still go ahead and plant it out after it's bloomed. Now, if you were going to put these out in your yard, you would actually plant them as soon as you could get them in August or September before they start to send up a bloom. Now, you can plant them in an area, say under a deciduous tree where they're going to get just some partial shade, and it needs to be an area that stays moist but not too soggy. Maybe if you've got an area that has a lot of organic matter in it and you've got it mulched where it's not going to dry out during the summer. Now, they actually send up only their flowers in the fall and no leaves. The leaves are actually there in the spring, and they come up and then they'll die. So you want to hide those with some other foliage around it so that you don't see that dying foliage. And you don't want to cut that foliage off until it's totally dead because it's feeding that bulb in there. Now, colchicum is a poisonous bulb, so that is something to remember if you have small children or pets. You may not want to put one of these out on the desk or something because it is a very poisonous bulb. So while it is a pretty thing, it's also something that you need to take some precautions about.